Hey, good morning, guys. Yes, today is Wednesday, the 13th of May, and what are we going to talk about today? You know the old adage of the more times you do it, the better you get at it? That's not always the case, so stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric. If you didn't already know it, yes, this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Wednesday, the 13th of 2026. So you've heard that, the old saying of, the more times you do it, the better you get. And yes and no. What I have found is if you don't know what the heck you're doing, by doing it more often doesn't mean that you become better at whatever you're trying to accomplish. It just means you become better at doing whatever you're doing wrong. So the better saying would be do it, find out what the right way is, do that, and the more often you do that, the better you become, right? And that's no different when it comes to turning wrenches. You know, I'm not a leading authority on this, so don't take me as gospel. But what I can tell you from personal experience is I can screw up a repair job quicker than anybody and then continually do it that way and become better at screwing it up. Okay? Just simply put. Whereas if someone has taken the time or shown you or me how to do it correctly, then that saying would be true. That the more times you do it, the better you get, the faster you get, and so forth. But the other thing that I've seen with seasoned mechanics, good mechanics, is they don't watch the clock to see how much time it takes them to get it done. It gets done when they do it. And the other thing that I found by talking with numerous mechanics is each job always has a little bit of a new twist to it. So you can't try to hold the same repair rule for each job, even though, let's say you're working on a PTO clutch. You could encounter 3 different PTO clutches with similar but different issues, and how you go about it and how quick you become at getting it diagnosed and done will vary depending upon what you have to do. It's like anything in the lawnmower system, that a lot of people think that the PTO clutch either works or doesn't work. It runs off a battery and it gets charged by an alternator, and you have the PTO switch that you click up and down, and if those 3 things work, voila. That's not how it works. Sometimes I've seen Claude, and I've done it myself, hand pack a system to find out that there was a wire touching up against the frame that was causing the issue right along. And I've seen it where the wire would be just broken off, right? So that it couldn't get full juice to the clutch to engage the electromagnetic clutch. And as you hit a bump, it would pull it apart and back together, pull it apart, back together. And the PTO clutch would kick out and kick in, kick out and kick in. You know what I'm saying? And you're trying to figure out, well, does it mean it's going because it goes so far and then it quits and then you have to redo it and it starts back up again? And if it were that easy, anybody could do it. If you're having PTO clutch issues and you've done the basics of checking the clutch, and you don't have the know-how and wherewithal to properly diagnose it, it would probably be cheaper to have a mechanic take a look at it for you. One that repairs lawn and garden stuff. Yes, you're going to get those guys that say they're mechanics and they can do the simple test just like you. But when it comes down to really diagnosing the system, because as I said yesterday in the video, if it were only that simple, right? Everything is kind of connected to everything else. And that's the way it is nowadays with the lawnmowers, okay? Years ago, gas, oil, everything was manual and off you went. Now, not so much because of all the safety features that are in place. If that seat switch isn't sensing you on the seat, or you think you've disabled it, maybe you disabled it so that it will start, but the PTO won't come on because it's not sensing that someone is on that seat, it won't work. It is supposed to, everything in the system is based on a safety reason for being there. And that is if you fall off the seat because you're having a heart attack, that mower should shut off all by itself. The blade stops, the mower stops, everything stops. If you disable that seat switch, that's why I tell people, instead of disabling it, just keep everything where it's supposed to be because there was a reason that that got put into place, you know. And you never know when some kid's going to get on it. But that's just to highlight having a PTO clutch issue when really it's you tried disabling the seat switch or the seat switch is bad. Could be the brake switch. You know, there's so many different things that, because like on the zero turn, I have to release my brake in order to start the PTO because it will kick off. And the other instance that I just had, because I blew a fuse on my charging system on my John Deere zero turn, is I was mowing right along. I shut the PTO off. I got off, got back on, you know, with it running in park and everything, hit the PTO, nothing. The engine was still running. But what had happened is I had drained the battery down to a certain extent that didn't have enough to energize 12 volts to the clutch. What's the outcome? I replaced the 30 amp fuse for the charging system and I charged the battery up, and now we're ready to go for this weekend coming up. What we tend to do at our shop is we look for the cheapest, simplest fix. And a lot of times, if nobody's been into it, it's something along that line. Have we replaced PTO clutches in the past that were burnt? Yes. I've had them get so hot that you could smell the plastic burning in them. And I've seen them seize up on a shaft on that bearing so that you thought the engine was seized, and it wasn't the engine, it was the PTO clutch bearing, you know, where it goes to the collar. It just got so hot that it seized. But if you didn't know what to look for, you hadn't had any much experience with it, thank God, Claude, you know. I mean, I remember the time when the guy was trying to sell us his lawnmower. And Claude said, "Why are you trying to sell us your lawnmower?" He said, "Well, to be honest with you, the engine's seized up." Claude says, "How do you know the engine's seized up?" He said, "Well, I can't get it to turn over, and even by turning it by hand on the flywheel, I can't get it to turn over at all. And it's got a full battery and this and that." Claude says, "Leave it here for half an hour. Let me see what I can do with it." So he put it up onto the ramps. First thing he did was pop the PTO clutch, slid it down. Voila, the engine freed up. But that PTO clutch was seized tighter than Toby's you-know-what. Did he have to get a new PTO clutch? Yes, but it was a heck of a lot cheaper than getting a new lawnmower. And the lawnmower was only like a couple of years old. There's no rhyme or reason. I've seen PTO clutches last 20 years, and I've seen them last 2 years. Even 1 year. And it depends on how often it gets used, how it gets taken care of, yada, yada, yada. And the battery, if you're not getting a full charge back to that battery, that will have an effect on that clutch. It will lessen the lifetime of it because it's not getting the proper amount of juice when it should be getting, okay? But that just shows you that, if not only doing things the right way gets you so you get better at it and faster at it, also you have to take consideration that there's always a new twist to each story that you're trying to figure out. It's always a different variation, I guess, is what I've heard other mechanics say. There's never been two things that came in that were the exact same thing. If it ended up being the exact same thing, it was a fault from the factory, not from the individual, right? And when we're doing repairs and stuff, I'll be honest with you, my customers let me know what their chief complaints are, and we do listen, and we do address those chief complaints. But they may be missing a lot of what actually is going on. It's like I had this guy want to know if I could bring his cup cadet in because when it warmed up, it had like a puffing noise. And we looked, and there were little holes in the exhaust, okay? Sucking cold air in when it was idling. When it was running full throttle, you couldn't hear it or see it. That was his chief complaint. What he didn't tell me was one blade was bent on his deck. So I replaced all three with a heavier grade blade. And we did a service on it. And he took it and he had it for 3 to 4 hours of mowing and got a hold of me and said that he'd never had any problems with that mower until we put our hands on it. And now the belt won't stay on and this and that, okay? I said, drop it off. And I'll take a look at it. So when we got there Monday morning, one of his spindles, how it happened, but we didn't have his spindle off. And it wasn't loose when it was here. But I think that the combination of the heavier blade maybe, but still, he had a spindle on his deck that was going bad, okay? And he hit something hard to shear all those bolts, but one on that spindle. He says not. But we went ahead Monday morning, and I had a spindle in stock, a brand new one, threw it on, put everything back together, got a hold of him, and said, come get it, it's all fixed. Even though I know it wasn't our fault, sometimes as a shop you need to just chalk it up to good customer service. I'm not going to get into it with a customer over an issue with a mower. So practice makes perfect as long as you're being taught the correct way to do it. And you have to get an idea that it's going to be a certain similarities, but there's going to be offshoots that you may have to encounter and tackle, and even the seasoned mechanics may have not seen it before. You know what I'm saying? I stress on this channel that you never should stop learning. Never close yourself off, and always be open to new ideas and new ways of doing things. And that I very much am, because I just want to suck it all in, and learn it all. But there's only just so much time on earth that we each of us have. So you concentrate on the things that are important to you to learn, and the things that aren't, don't waste your time on it. If you don't like being a mechanic, then hire somebody else to do it for you, right? So what else have we got going on today at the shop? Well, we got hamburger to do, and we also have a beef cow buyer coming sometime this morning that I'm going to run up, see if I can get him to buy over half my herd and thin them down since the prices are up. And that way, hopefully we aren't chasing anymore. I mean, but it should be good. I mean, it should be a good day. I'm not going to have it that long today, because I'm running behind them already. But if you approach each day of being open to learning new things and wanting to find the right way to do things instead of just, you know, doing things the same way because it seems familiar and you get faster at doing those same things. If they're the right way and the right things to do, then it's a plus. But if you're been shown wrong or you're doing it wrong and you've just gotten faster at doing it wrong, then wouldn't it be better if you sat back and learned it the right way first and then forged on trying to get speed and consistency? On that note, you guys have a great Wednesday, and we'll see you here bright and early tomorrow morning for another episode of the weekday. You guys have a great day.